Hey there, welcome to Coaching Changes Lives. In this episode, we're going to talk about the ICF core competencies and why is it relevant to us as coaches and how is it relevant to you as a leader, as an influencer, as a conversationalist, whether you're a speaker, a trainer or facilitator. This is going to be useful for you just as well. Now, if you're first time here in our channel, do remember hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell because we have videos every single week coming to you fresh. And our aim and goal is to educate coaches from around the world, give them quality lessons about coaching, about conversations. And at the end of the day, this is what we truly believe. Coaching is about conversational mastery. And coaching is the brand new competence that every single leader, speaker, influencer, trainer, youth, adult, parent need to know. So whether you become a professional coach or whether using this coaching competency in your daily life, it's going to be useful for you. So stay tuned because we're going to go and dive into all these 11 competencies in just a moment. Now, in today's episode, we're going to focus on the ethics and professional standards as a coach. Now, too often we hear these things, right? We hear things about unethical practice of coaches. Hear things about coaches going around telling other people that this is what coaching is, this is what not coaching is. And I myself have heard many interesting stories about coaching. Some coaches under the guise of coaching, and what they do is this, right? They tell you, hey, I'm a coach, I'm a this coach, I'm a that coach, right? And then what they end up doing is they begin to sell you something else other than their coaching service, and that becomes something very something that I don't really agree with. And I really truly believe that as coaches we need to be first congruent with ourselves, congruent with our beliefs, and congruent with how we deliver our processes to our clients, and to honor the space and to honor and respect the professional standards and conduct of a coach. So let's take a look at what ethics and standards is for a coach. And this is what ICF, the International Coaching Federation, defines it as. So the ICF has 11 core competencies that will be utilized, that's been utilized for many years, right? Last year, they've revised them to the 8 competencies. So in this mini part series, I'll be focusing on the 11 competencies that we already know, and I'll help you to go through them because it's still relevant for today. And for those of you taking up your ACC, PCC, or MCC credentials this year, you will still be assessed based on the 11 competencies. Come early next year, right, in the first quarter of next year or something, ICF is going to be utilized in adopting the brand new 8 competencies. So stay tuned for our videos because I'm going to produce in-depth study of those 8 competencies as well. If you have any questions, feel free to pop your questions in the comment section below, and do remember to hit the subscribe and share with friends if you like this video. Now, so ICF defines ethics and standards as understanding of the coaching ethics and standards and ability to apply them appropriately in all coaching situations. And there are basically a few key points that it's going to be important for us to consider. Number one, it understands and exhibits in own behaviors the ICF Code of Ethics. So there's a whole document of Code of Ethics. So if you like to read more about it, you go into ICF website, download the whole Code of Ethics, the 2020 version, and do read them. Okay, and understand and follows all ICF ethical guidelines, clearly communicates the distinctions between coaching, consulting, psychotherapy, and other support professions. So it can be like trainer, it can be facilitator. So it's important that you know the clear definitions, the distinction of that. So many people ask me, what's the difference between coaching and all these other roles? Well, the fundamental truth is this, right? Coaching and all the other professions are fundamentally different, at best superficially similar, right? Coaching, it's focused on the process, and the other domains are focused on these domain experts. So for example, if I'm a consultant for a medical field, I cannot be a consultant for an engineering field because they're 2 different domains. Whereas if I'm a coach, if I'm currently coaching an engineering firm, I can coach someone from a medical field. Why? Because it's non-domain specific, it's process specific. So meaning to say that for companies and organizations, it's important for them to engage coaches who are from other industries because it allows them to provide them with new perspective, new areas to question, and sometimes bringing new insights from cross-pollinating from different industries as well. So there's a lot of insights to be gained when you engage across industries. Yes, it's also going to be useful engaging coach of the particular industry because they do have a wealth of knowledge. However, what could happen is that there might be a group think, or maybe there might be a old thinking habit of what worked before and what will be. But in today's economy, does it really matter of what has worked 100 years ago, what has worked 10 years ago, what even has worked 1 year ago? No, in this rapid changing economy, even sometimes right in this year as well, we see things changing so rapidly. Industries overnight just totally erased. Industries that we thought would never go under went under, right? So one thing is true. What is true of the past? What were the past successes? it's never a good predictor of the future. But what we can do as coaches when you engage a coach is to really help you get clarity about how do you rise up. How do you actually overcome that? How do you actually lead an overcoming life even if the things don't go the way it should? So that's what really coaches do for you. So coaching is focused on the process, and the other domains and other professions really focus on the subject matter experts. And number 4, it's referring clients to other support professionals as needed and knowing when it's needed and available resources. For example, let's say a client comes to you and who is clinically diagnosed with depression, or who has schizophrenia, or maybe who has suicidal thoughts. It's important for a coach to know when to refer them to other support professions, and that's going to be important. Unless you yourself are a trained professional, you can do that yourself. But it's important then to let your client know that that these two roles are clearly separated, and that's going to be your professional conduct as a coach. So let's take a look at this. There are several components across the ACC, BCC, MCC level that we look at for ethics. Now, at any one point, if any one of them is violated, the entire recording will not be accessed, or the entire recording will be considered a failure, right? So even if you can perform, say for example, powerful questioning, active listening at an MCC level, but because you didn't demonstrate ethics and profession, which is held at the highest esteem, the rest of the conversation would also be a failure. Okay, now why is this important? Because we want to be very clean, very precise with our languaging. We want to make sure our clients know what they're in for, and we want to make sure that when we deliver to our clients, we're delivering on our promise. So let's take a look at this. In this competency under ethics and standards, applicant would not pass the competency if the applicant focuses primarily on telling the client what to do, how to do it, in a consulting mode, right? The conversation is based primarily in the past, particularly in the emotional past, therapeutic mode. So if you're going in the therapeutic mode, getting the client to do a timeline back into the past and talking about the past incident and helping them relieve that past, majority of the time, if you're doing that, then that will be a therapeutic mode. Now, what we all know that when we have a conversation with someone, inevitably you need to ask them what happened in the past, right? So that there will be a past component, but that should not be the primary focus of the coaching conversation. The primary focus of coaching conversation is to move them forward. How do we help them to move forward? Because the idea is this: we're not trying to help them to resolve things of the past, because the past is in the past. We got to help them to move forward, to let it go, and to help them to take the next step forward. Yeah, the past will always be there, the scars will always be there, the danger points will always be there, but what can we do today to help us move forward? That's going to be important. The next point is it's not clear on basic foundations exploration and invoking skills that underlie the ICF definition of coaching. That lack of clarity in skill use will be reflected in the skill level demonstrated in some of the other competencies listed below. So this will be demonstrated across multiple competencies as well, if you lack the skills of a coach. So there are many coaches out there calling themselves maybe a wealth coach, abundant coach, and actually what they're doing is more of an advising. So I came across some coaches who call themselves wealth coach or some abundant coach, and ends up what's really happening under the guise of being a life coach. They're selling other people financial packages, financial advising, or real estate deals and everything. Now that it's something really off. Why? Because when you are actually a coach, the client trusts that you're actually helping them through a life process, through a business process, through a work process, and not trying to sell them something else. If you're doing that, then I would rather you focus on that component. So be very clean and very clear about what you're doing, because that's going to be whether the client sees you as an ethical coach or not, right? So one of the important points is, for example, if a coach almost exclusively gives advice or indicates that a particular answer chosen by the coach is what the client should do, trust, intimacy, coaching presence, powerful questioning, creating awareness, and client-generated actions and accountability will not be present, and a credential at any level will be denied. So, for example, if I'm just telling you, hey, I think if you're feeling stuck right now, this is what I think you should do. You should do this, you should do that, you should do this, you should do that. And the reason you should do this, I think you can try this out over the next few weeks. If I tell you and advise you to do things, then I'll be coming from a consulting mode. When I do that, I lose presence because I'm not in the present moment with you. I'm present with myself, but not present with you. I'm not listening to you because I'm not listening to the real problem, right? So I'm just hearing the problem, but not listening to the problem. And then what happens is that when I craft questions, I'm not crafting questions based on your coaching language. I'm crafting questions questions based on my expertise in the subject matter. So that's why I always say, if you are a coach, it's always great to coach someone across industries so that you don't allow your past experience, your past expertise to dilute the conversation. And sometimes that may happen because, for example, if I have many, many years in the IT industry, in the IT consulting industry, and now I'm coaching the IT firm, what then happens is that sometimes your past experience, your past knowledge may interfere with the present moment for you to coach the client. So in the coaching process, I always tell coaches to come in with a know-nothing state so that you remain neutral, remain clean, and that there's no form of judgment on the client. At the end of the day, the client wants to know that you're not judging them, that you're not imposing anything on them, and they want to feel that when they talk to you, when they engage with you, there's no sense of laughter, there's no sense of I'm better than you, there's no sense of, oh, why are you like that? No, it's really at the end, coaching, it's not about I'm better than you, I'm your guru. No, coaching at the end is for you to be like a mirror to the client, to help the client see their world different, to help them create more choices so they can decide which path to hit. Because right now, they're not really clear on the current choices that they have, because if they were clear, they would have taken action anyway. So ethics and standards and professional sense, it's really, really key for coaches. And I'll encourage you, if you're listening to this, and you come across coaches, who are not really practicing their coaching practice ethically and professionally, my advice is to look for a different coach, right? Find a coach who upholds ethics really closely, because that's going to be congruent. So when they begin to coach you, you know that they understood clearly what ICF defines ethics and what ICF defines the professional standards of a coach really is. So that leaves us with the first competency called ethics and professional standards. So this is one of your first few preparations as you're preparing for your ACC, PCC, MCC level credentialing. Now, if you'd like to find out more about the different levels, we have programs helping coaches all around the world to tune in for our live online program, or we have live classes in person. So if you'd like to join any one of our ACC, PCC, MCC certification program or mentor coaching program, and we also have additional programs to help you to get from MCC and beyond, to help you go deeper in your coaching conversations and help you create greater change and longer lasting effects. If you'd like to find out more about that, do reach out to us, PM us. Our details are all at the description box below. And do remember, if you like this video, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, because we're going to come up with new exciting videos for you. Until next time, I will see you in our next competency.